Hi, Kathy Vick, deeply awake. Well, I want to just say a couple things. I think that it's very fascinating what is occurring, and I just want to discuss that a little bit. But I want to preface it by talking about eccentricity and uniqueness, because you know, there are people who are just eccentric, and there are those who are just, you know, they're just fascinating. And there's some who have, being a hospice nurse, I will tell you, I've been able to see into a wide spectrum of humanity in extremity and at the end. And you'd be surprised at the heroic, beautiful, glittering fabulousness of it all at the end. It doesn't. Yes, everybody's all tied up in their lessons and storylines and fucking karma and arguments and everything like that. Sure, that's fine. But still, I mean, when you just stand in someone's totality, everybody walking on this earth is a giant. It's just a monumental feat to go from babyhood to death. And anyway, I was at the death of an eccentric, very wildly eccentric and wildly odd about expressing it, and quite popular and well-moneyed, respected, I suppose. But there was something missing. Sitting in that living room was just quite a revelation, because I felt such a sense of I don't know. There was just something in that room that was not right. It felt like there was just a deep down not okayness. And I couldn't tell at that time if that was me projecting my stuff onto her because she had chosen to live a very unconventional life romantically, and so she had no particular partner, nobody who gave a damn about her toward the end, and I felt that was kind of sad. But then she had kids, but no partner. Or so was it me, or was it the kids projecting their stuff on mom, wishing mom had gotten her shit together? Or was it mom who was feeling that way, and was it her? Was it that signature that was permeating the curtains and breathing us? I couldn't really tell, but it was something really strong, and it stayed with me. Every single person I can't say that. I really can't say that. But there are a few really people whose lives are so absolutely stunning, and they can be very, very, you know, we all are living common lives. Come on, we all live common lives. Who among us is famous? Who among us has a whole crap ton of money? You know, all right, some do. Good for you. But who among us is all that notorious? Well, I'm hanging out with people who have a little bit more influence and who are just kind of blabbermouths like me. It's great, because it's just natural to have a wider sphere of influence. It feels better. And it feels good to be around people who have that too, because it's just sort of a relief to be around people who just they think big, but they just are big. It's such a relief that they are out there, and I'm out there too. But still, you know, there was a sense of just not having it be right. How can you go too far? That's always the question. Can you go too far and just really kind of get off track. I mean, there is a diagnosis that, excuse me, has since become quite favored by the psychiatric community. At one time, it was a diagnosis that we used for kids who were floridly psychotic and living in vans down by rivers in Boulder. Schizoid. Yep. Those were the weird ones. And now everybody's schizoid. That's just what I think the DSM-5 has decided is an appropriate diagnosis for pure, truly, they just don't want to have anyone walk around with schizophrenia, diagnosed with schizophrenia anymore. It's their thing right now. So, it defunds people, I think, or I don't know. I don't exactly know what it does. I think it tries to obfuscate the problem. But I think all the diagnoses are a little bit archaic. And in any regard, you know, these ones that are just not quite right. If you can keep it together and not get psychotic and actually find a way to monetize your crazy, right on. And if you can do that in a way that, you know, serves humanity, well, so much the better. Good. I mean, isn't that what we all do, in a way? And there are plenty of people who I have ushered out of life who were, you know, pretty high on the eccentric scale. And they were really down with it, too. They really found identity in it. And there are others who sort of pushed against it and didn't want to accept it. I think that's it. I think that's what I felt in that room. Just a sense of not really wanting to own it. That's what I got sitting on that soiled ottoman. There was a sense of just not wanting or having been able to own it. So I want to get ascension-y. I want to go by way of Dolores Cannon, because the idea here is that there is a purpose to our lives, and I oftentimes will think about when we're removing stuff from a person's, you know, little cubicle where they died. That stuff was meaningful an hour before. It was that person. It was Ed's stuff. It was my mom's PJs. It was, you know what I mean? It was meaningful. That's her half bottle of perfume, you know? And then suddenly it has no meaning. It's simply, I really felt when I was cleaning out my mom's room like it was a prop. That we were just, you know, the play was over. We were dismantling the set. And that's not to minimize her life in any way. Please don't get me wrong. It's just to say that, you know, it just is, that's how it felt. And then to read Dolores Cannon's books where the Oversoul or the SC comes out and says, well, you know, a person at the beginning in the convoluted universe books, 1 through 3 basically, there are a lot of inductions, hypnotic inductions that begin with a past life. And you see something that is going on, and then the SC comes in there, and then, you know, they'll move them to an important day, and it's usually the day of their death. And they describe the death, and then they are no longer in the body, and then the SC or the Oversoul is called in. And you know, while the person is still the person but disembodied, Dolores will ask, so what was this life about, or what did you learn, or whatever. And you know, from that vantage point, that entity will say what the lesson was. And then the Oversoul comes out, and then they have this much to say. And Dolores at one point will say, so why did you bring out that particular life? And the message is far deeper and really far simpler and deeper, just deeper. It's more meaningful. But 1 or 2 sentences. And I've been struck with that since I stumbled onto this idea of reincarnation a long time ago. Yeah, it kind of boils down to 1 or 2 sentences. So what's your sentences going to be? So, interesting. What do you stand for? Quite literally and figuratively. What do you stand for? What's the story going to be? What's your story, Morning Glory? So, I think that's what I was trying to express with this idea of how you hold oneself, how you hold yourself. And it's just a further amplification today, excuse me, because the idea of ascension is coming through real loud. You know, this crazy notion of ascension. I'm literally not the only one. Sandra Walter has been talking about ascension for quite a while. Very, very boldly. Jamie Price. There are a lot of people. A lot of them. And we may go about it a little differently, all of us. Some are astrologers and some are channelers and some do light language. Some, excuse me, talk to the Pleiadians and Lumerians. Some work with grids. Some, like me, work with mass consciousness. And some are the feelers. We've talked about that. But, I mean, there's a lot of us. And we're connected through this very fascinating thing called the interwebs. And I'm one of them. And I really do think that, really, when it boils down to it, my bag is to discuss how this plays out in daily life. I think I've said that plenty of times. How do you apply this? How do you apply these things? Because I can go very, very far. I think that I've proven that. Want to talk about the electron for about, I don't know, 2 hours? But really, it boils down to how can you get along in this world, and how do we make this a better place? Interpersonally. It's important. How to find peace within. That's what we all are talking about. But all of us have something else. I mean, you can say, okay, well, fine, you're an ascensionist, or that's what I call myself. But you can call me that. Isn't it the same as saying, okay, well, you're a Hindu, or you're a Jew, or you're a whatever? So, yeah, it's a body of knowledge. It's a body of belief. We don't have a central person. We don't have any kind of Bible or anything like that. Each of us come to these understandings intuitively, and many of us alone, and then we get our confirmation through each other. And that's what we hold fast to, is that this is an individual process. It's not. It's only on a mass scale because lots of individuals are going through it. But it's an individual process. It's based on intent and will and ability and akash and timing. Lots of things. But not everybody has to do it like me, or like, you know, Jamie or Sandra or whatever. And lots of people are, you know, doing it their very, very own way. And my friend who I met a couple Wednesdays ago, 3 Wednesdays ago, and we sat there and just kind of goggled at each other because we were both saying the same thing about where we've gone in our meditations galactically and stuff. It's like, wow. It's not possible. It truly isn't. We agreed. It's just not. It's not really possible to con ourselves into thinking we're alone anymore. So, it really is very different now. Because, yeah, I do have to make some just shifts, really, just how I'm handling things, and it's all improvements. What? Say what, Willis? Yeah. All of them. And so the idea, I think, here, for me anyway, has been that of, well, it's timing and it's willingness, and it's just not, just willingness. And so I'll close by saying that I went to one of Amy's workshops again on Saturday night. Thank you, Amy. I love you, Amy. And it was just so badass. It was so good. But it was intense. I mean, we conjured some big energy. Everybody was just super high. Wow. And I was very clear about my intention, about what I was releasing. I was done. You want to know what with? Being angry at people I love. Interesting. It's been fascinating, because I can see its absence. I'm beginning to really, like black and white, see this. It's such a massively powerful thing. Oh my God. I need to pencil those in, and I do. I mean, it's a slam dunk. I'm always there. Because I just like, oh boy. And yeah, I suppose I could conjure on my own, but holy moly, there ain't nothing like that. You know how many we had? It was the first time a group got together in that new home of hers. 13. Oh yeah. It was just from beginning to end, it's like, wow. But this also means being in argument with what I've got to do, or how I'm living, or how I'm expressing. I am done with being pissed. What is up with that? And I realize that is like an ancient engram of mine. Love equals anger. Anger equals love. Duh. The two go together. Well, not anymore. It's been good. And yeah. So it's not. I really am not. And if I really truly, anger is anger. But anger. What do they say about anger? They say anger is actually not an emotion. Anger is a response. It is a survival technique. It is a matrix. And its purpose is to protect the human being, that place within that human being that is too sore to touch. Dig it. And so this always brings me, when I get to this place, it always brings me up that there's really no way that I can fault someone else for their behavior, ever. No matter what it is. Because I see what I've done wrong in mine. And if I can get something so desperately wrong, and have lived with it, and been able to function with it, and then one day I go, wait a minute, I'm ready to let this go. Then, I can be more patient and tolerant, and not so quick to need things from others, like them to self-manage, because some people don't know how to self-manage. I've shown that I don't know how to do that sometimes, so I need to be okay with that in others. And I could feel it coming on for a really long time. They're just like, oh no, I've got to accept this. I don't want to. I don't want to. It's too big. It's too big. But I think I can now. I really can. Because I understand that, this really is real. This ascension stuff is real. And I want to close by telling you, the ascension stuff, guess what the deal is with ascensionists? And with old souls, or whatever you want to call us. We're futurists. We're seers. We're wise. And my sister would sometimes say, well, how can you even say that you're spiritual if you behave that way, or if you expect this, or la la la. Hey, guess what? I have a lot of blind spots. They'll get taken care of. All in good time, my pretty. But in the meantime, it doesn't, just because I don't understand one portion of human behavior doesn't mean that I get to disown everything I am. What? No. So what if I've got a couple things I just am not the best at? So fucking what? Big deal. We'll figure it out. It doesn't take away from the sacred nature of all of this, or the reason that we're doing all of this. It doesn't take away from any of that. It's not either or. So, and I think it's easy to, if you don't know the perspective, if you're not aware of the other people who are out there very loudly explaining what's going on, and have for a while. None of us are alone. And we're all saying the same thing. With no Bible and no central... Can you imagine us having to get together at a convention? Holy moly. That would be interesting. But we are getting together a lot more. We don't need conventions. So that's what's happening. And I really do think that this also means that it's just being more mellow. And that means not only having a knowledge of what's going on socio-politically, it means loving your freaking neighbor. It does. And I just didn't really want to. I mean, I think I do enough at work, thank you. Not like that, but just like I didn't want to really fully engage. And I do now. And I'm just really super glad to end. I'm just so super glad I lived my life the way I did. I'm glad I'm picky. I don't have to explain the importance of that to my son. He's already picky. But yeah, it's good to be picky. And it's good to stand alone. And I was feeling really, really sorry for myself. Because I got to stand not alone for just a little bit, and I really dug it. But I didn't get to do it very, very long. And so I was super mad about that. Because I like it best. I'm always stronger when I have someone around me who loves me. But, they're around. They just, whatever. It's not the same as having somebody sitting next to me on the couch. I was feeling really, really butt sore about that. And now I've been given a dispensation. Let's just say that. I am really glad I made the decisions I did. Just because I know what I can tolerate, and I know what gets me sick. And I know, I just see very clearly. And I'm not talking about a person, I'm not talking about a situation in general, I'm talking about the whole 9 yards. I am really very, very fond of my life choices. Wow. And that's good. Because then I can be okay with being this. It's time. I was pretty upset because I didn't get the stuff that I felt that I needed. Well, it was so hard to apply the tenets to self, I actually do get what I need. And that Michelle was very good to explain, my astrology seer person, that I chose to do my relationships the way I did because I just didn't have that much karma to work out. I mean, that kind of, I just didn't have a lot of karma I wanted to do. So I didn't do a lot of it. And I really didn't. So, right on. I'm glad I had Sam. I'm glad I'm connected to Jerry. I made good decisions there. And I'm really, really, really happy I did that. It was good to have that karma, because it's not karma. That's the thing. Sam is not karma, and Jerry is definitely not karma. And I made a declaration a while ago. And so I know when I'm in lesson that it's not my karma. So, anyway, I still engage in it from time to time. So, anyway, I think I'm done. I think I want to retire for the evening. It was a good day, and I'm very glad I'm Ascensionist. And sure, you can line me up with other religions and stuff, but we Ascensionists, or whatever we are, yeah, we've got a thing or two to say about reality creation, cosmic triggers, grid work, energy work, plant-based diet, plant-based, well, if you dig it, plant-based medicine, communal living, different economic system, lots of things. And they're all downloads that we're all getting all at once. Isn't that funny? So, yeah, that's real too. And it's not going to go away when I punch a clock. Silly me. And neither is my naughty side. So, yay! Alright, good night all. I hope you have a pleasant evening and an even more fabulous tomorrow.